Okay, bruh fans, we're talking Season 3, Episode 7, Blueprints. Bill and Claudia meet for the first time. There is an immediate spark between them. Not gonna lie, this was probably my least favorite of these 3 episodes. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Now, it did have a couple of good moments, but I do feel like, Darla and Greg were the main reasons this episode kind of fell flat, just because I feel like in both of their situations, when we have a scene of Darla and John and Greg and Tom, they both get in their feelings a lot. So, let's jump right in. And remember, as I said in my episode 6 review, yes, I took a brief hiatus from watching/reviewing Bruh due to views being low on my videos. If you want me to review the show, make sure you watch the content. Aside from watching the video, make sure you share it out there. Tweet it, put it on Instagram, put it in Facebook on one of the various groups, share it to your friends. The more views these videos get, the more likely I am to continue watching/reviewing the show. Let me scratch that. I will always watch the show, but it's the reviewing part that's in question. So keep that in mind. Okay, so the episode picks up where we left off, where John and Alice find their entire apartment trashed. And from there, we even see bitch written on the wall in graffiti. And tell me this didn't remind you of If Loving You Is Wrong, where, look, I forgot the names, but remember the white couple that moved into the neighborhood towards the end of the series, and the wife had a mental disorder? And I think that the husband found out that Randall was messing with her, not sexually, but like mentally. And as a result, he went over to Randall's place and trashed it. And as a result, he even had like, mess with my wife, or next time I'll burn this bitch down, or something like that. It really reminded me of that. But long story short, because I think this is like the first 5 minutes of the episode. Yeah, the place is torn up. John thinks Lydia did it. Alice thinks it doesn't add up that, she would do something like this. Or John's like, what? Could it be one of your men that always come over here? But in any case, Alice's sex toys are gone. And she checks to get her stash to see if that was stolen too. But anyway, John makes the call and the cops are on the way. So the question is, did Lydia do this or not? Now, we go back over to Tom's place, and Bill is still flirting with Claudia. She had finished up the cleaning, and Bill had finished up working. It turns out Claudia's father is also someone who works, in construction, with buildings and whatnot. And after looking over, just getting a glance of Bill's plans, she has a couple of ideas, like expanding the kitchen and whatnot, because, typically when showing houses, the wife is the one who usually makes that call to say, oh yeah, I like this kitchen, or this bedroom space and whatnot. So as a result, that could lead to a sale, because the kitchen is like a place of the community and really sets the mood of a house. And yet again, just thinking about that makes me go, damn it, I wish I could have my own house by now, because I would love to cook up a storm in the kitchen. But in any case, he tries to, make some passes at her, like, hey, I'll take a lunch now. And she's like, well, it's a bit too early for lunch. And, well, hey, I'm done working. So, yeah, he makes like, a few lame attempts, according to her, that fall flat. But regardless, turns out she's married. Because I noticed the ring on her finger, and they're both married. And it's the fact that they don't cheat, and they'll actually reconnect again when he calls her to come over to clean his place. And I'm thinking the whole time, but Bill, don't you know your mom-in-law lives there? So, Okay, so we go over to the hospital. Greg and Tom are having a little chat over lunch. Essentially, Greg, I think maybe the conversation started off screen, but I think that it's brought up that, Greg doesn't want to be any problems, because, there tends to be a lot of things going on at Tom's apartment. Essentially, it's like, hey, Greg, you can stay with me. I don't know, man. I guess he's probably bringing up like the bruhs and whatnot. There's a lot of drama going on, and I just kind of wanted my own place. But he says, well, hey, man, I don't mind having you around, because it makes the rent cheaper. I'm able to send money back to my mom, and, hey, they're cool with living in the same spot. So, a new character, I believe Dina, is introduced. Dina. And seems that she wanted to meet Greg. And, Tom kind of gets the ice breaking started before he leaves to check on the patient. And Dina just goes in, being extremely straightforward in the fact that, hey, do you find me attractive? I find you attractive, and I just wanted to meet you. And Greg really is a bit short with her, and talking about this being moving too fast, talking about attraction and whatnot. And again, I'm just thinking, but Greg, you literally was doing the same stuff with Darla. I mean, hell, the first time y'all hung out at times, I feel like you wanted to just go straight to the bedroom. So okay, but then again, I guess, okay, it is 2022, so I'm going to try to say this as carefully as possible. In the dating world, that is, typically the let's go back to, maybe the early 2000s or so, or, late 2000s, whenever I was in college. It was kind of the norm for, like, or socially, yeah, that's the word. It was socially accepted that the man makes the first move on, the person they're interested in, and like the woman usually is the person who receives said advances, and they'll determine whether or not they're attracted to the male who came after them, came up to them. Yeah, that's the better way of saying it. But nowadays, in recent years, hey, women propose to men, or women, more masculine roles and whatnot, typically doing things that were, I guess you could say, the norm for the man to do. So I could see why that might feel a bit off-putting to Greg, for a woman just to come up and all of a sudden, can I get your number? But yeah, it's like, okay, but again, Greg, you just met Darla in a breath, and boom, next thing you know, you want to get in bed. So for you to just act like this is weird. But she does go on to say, like, you know what, hey, if you find me attractive, I find you attractive, hey, I might actually let you take me out. I feel like that was actually pretty funny. But I think it was actually brought up, though, nowadays you got to be straightforward and whatnot, because between the men who are married or, gay or in jail, the options are slim. Okay, so they actually do agree to, like, go to the cafeteria or something, because she originally wanted to have lunch with him, but he was having lunch, at the desk eating a salad, and, she had dessert, so they go check that out. So, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of awkward, but it was a cute scene in its own way. So, I mean, to be completely honest, as that guy who's never been one to have, women approach me, so straightforwardly, or at all for that matter, I don't even know how I would handle that situation. I would be like, well, I know this is like a dated phrase in 2022, but am I being punked right now? But no, I mean, I actually found that quite admirable that she wanted to get straight to the point and, well, not waste time. But then again, there's also the whole thing of, yes, you can't change who you're attracted to. Sure, maybe as you get older, have more experiences, looks can fade and you understand that, but I don't know if you should write off someone just because you don't find each other attractive. At least try to have one conversation, because maybe, she thinks you're a 7, but you think she's a 9. But when you actually have a conversation and find out you have a lot in common, you actually find each other 10s in that aspect. But then again, what the hell do I know? I've been single for I don't know how long. All right, so then we go over to the apartment again. Alice is still giving Lydia the benefit of the doubt, but John is still not convinced. And thankfully, Alice says something that I never thought I'd think would make sense. Why the hell would a woman take another woman's sex toy? My vibrator has a tracking app. Okay. So, the cops come in, or actually the cops arrive, and Darla's the one who comes to the spot. I'm like, oh, wow, this makes sense. I mean, because she's a cop, so I'm like, wow. Because I think over the phone earlier in the episode, Alice was screaming for, like, a male cop to show up, because, Alice gonna do what Alice gonna do. Turns out Darla has a white male partner cop and the police car downstairs, so Alice, decides to bounce. So Darla is getting information from John about what happened, and he actually apologizes, for his ignorance in school as well as the other night, and just tries to make peace. So from there, it's one of those things where this is going to be, I don't know how to say it, because this is the part of the episode where I felt things kind of went out of whack, because you got this scene and then the very next scene where Darla goes off on John, then Greg goes off on Tom, and I'm just like, this is the part where the episode just kind of lost me. So from my understanding, John was trying to make peace, because we know John can like run off at the mouth at times, but he means well. So he was just trying to, say, hey, I'm just not used to, this in regards to the transgender community, which is understandable. He pretty much was apologizing for the way he was back in the day. And yeah, even though times has passed, he's still not used to it. But she goes on to say, well, you better get used to it then. And you need to open your mind. And maybe I'm misinterpreting. I actually watched this scene 3 times to make sure I didn't, take my notes wrong or really dissect the scene incorrectly. But the way Darla's like, open your mind, it was almost as if, she was letting on that John should possibly, date a trans person or something like that, or expand your boundaries. Like, no, that's a little bit too damn open for me. And from there, it gets into an aggressive conversation where, John, I'm just trying to do my job. And you know how it would feel if you showed up at a white person's house and you tried to do their job and they offended you and made it harder than it needs to be? Huh? Well, you know what? Maybe I'll go downstairs and send up the white straight male cop because you're uncomfortable. And she just leaves, and John is rightfully as confused as I am, where I don't see the part where he did anything rude or offensive. He just basically, again, I could have misinterpreted the scene. If you saw something that I didn't, please let me know. Please. I mean, like I said, I watched it 3 times, so I feel like I wasn't incorrect in my explanation, but John tried to apologize for what he did in the past. He was just honest with the whole, look, I'm just not used to this way of life. But then I feel like Darla was the aggressor, saying like, well, you better get used to it, and why not open your mind? But because John was like, nah, fam, I'm apologizing for who I was back then in terms of ignorant and being, mean with the jokes and whatnot, and being partially responsible for making your college experience hell. But I'm not going to open up in terms of being with a trans person. And as a result of that, Darla got offended, went off on John, and then opted to send up her partner, the white male cop, in order to not make John feel uncomfortable because, he's being an asshole. And I'm like, okay, that was a bit much. So, I don't know. Didn't really like this scene. But like I said, if you watched it and you got something else out of it, let me know in the comments, because maybe, when I read your comment, be like, you know what, I kind of see where you're coming from. So yeah, this scene, But no, I honestly feel like it was way too over the top for, what was going down, because I feel like there's a difference between, understanding something and accepting something, or at least at the very least respecting it, where, hey, you know what, I'm not part of this religion, I'm not part of this political affiliation, I'm not part of this orientation, but hey, you know what, you live, you thrive, you live how you want to. But just because I don't agree with your way of life, living, lifestyle, politics, whatever, I shouldn't be labeled as anti this, phobic that. I don't know, probably turned away some people with that statement, but I'm trying to be as clear and to the point as possible, because I feel like this scene was John being labeled an offensive prick when he really wasn't. If nothing else, he seemed to be, owning up to his mistakes in the past and trying to make amends. But like I said, let me know if I misinterpreted, because maybe I'll end up changing the score of the episode. I'm like, oh my God, I was wrong. But then we get to the next scene. I know for sure Sorry, Karen. I'm sure I got this scene right. Greg is pissed at Tom, basically thinking that because I'm, seeing a trans woman, you're acting like John, trying to put me out there with all these other women and whatnot. And Tom's like, no, Dina just said she wanted to meet you. I just arranged the meeting, and that was it. I think that Dina even brought up that she was aware that Greg just went through a divorce and whatnot, but that was it. It's not like Tom went out of his way to, I guess you could say, sabotage Greg and Darla. It's just that Dina asked to be introduced, and that was it. Greg liked Darla in his feelings, and thankfully Tom held his ground, because bro, you just talking in circles right now. I won't ever introduce you to a woman like that again, or an attractive woman ever again. It's like, well, she was aggressive, man. Well, hey, based off your ex-wife, I thought you liked aggressive women. And I'm thinking, yet again, Greg, do you not remember how aggressive you were with Darla back in season 2? After only meeting, once or twice for, like hangouts at Tom's place. And you want to get mad at Dina for being aggressive? First of all, she wasn't hands-on, even though I feel like she could be very hands-on. But it's just that she was getting straight to the point. I remember writing a blog back in the day. Yeah, I used to have that blog, even before the haves and the have-nots, because in college, I just had the feeling of, dating is just like a job interview. It's just the fact that you and another person are sitting down, going over details about your past, future endeavors, and what you're doing in the present to determine whether or not you'll be a good fit. Obviously, not in the sense of getting a job, but I'm applying for the boyfriend position. I just wanted to see if I'm qualified. So it's funny to me how, as some might see the Dina and Greg scene ridiculous, it's actually, if you cut away the beating around the bush, spending money to go on dates and whatnot, that's essentially what dating is. You're getting to know someone. Hey, if you're an attractive, prospect, hey, let me go ahead and holler. So I can't be mad at her. But Greg was mad at Tom. So Tom just says, hey, you know what? I won't ever try to interfere like that again. My bad. So he storms off. And I'm like, damn, come on now. All right, so the final scene. Claudia actually comes back to Tom's place. And I'm thinking, first of all, it's nighttime. Secondly, why the hell is Bill still there? I thought he would have been gone. But she said something about forgetting her key. And Bill is like, hey, I can go help you find it. No, I left it in the bedroom. And to be honest, I don't know if I trust myself to go in there with you. So she's apparently unhappy in her marriage, and she wants to fuck Bill. And I'm like, what the? First of all, okay, maybe I should say this for the next episode review. I'm like, where the hell are all these aggressive women coming from? Sheesh. Maybe I should go to Atlanta. All right. So in any case, that's all I have to say for episode 7. Like I said, 4 out of 10. Wasn't my favorite, but like I said, if you got anything different out of the Darla and John scene that I did not, please let me know in the comment section below, because maybe that'll let me see things in a new light. But if you're like Jeremy, you were actually pretty spot on. I'll stay on my score for 4. But other than that, yeah, that's all I got for you. Like and subscribe, hit the bell icon and select all. That way you're up to date when I post content, and I will catch you later.